Everyone. This is All Things Books and Publishing with our hostess, with the mostest,
Absolutely the mostest.
Mary Brotherton, and myself, Yvonne Mason. And we are moving our show to 10:30 or thereabouts until I get through bowling in March. Because I'm not going to give up this show, Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise, because this show's very important. Mary, do you know that we are on iTunes?
I
We
do.
are on iHeartRadio. We are on Spotify. We are on Amazon Music. We are on Apple Music. We are on, of course, the website, YouTube, and every instant social media. I can get us on Twitter. All of our videos go up on the LinkedIn page, Blue Sky, Montadon.
What was that
Um,
one?
Montadon, it's a new one. I'll send you the link. It's
Yeah,
MON.
that's a brand new name to me.
Yeah, I could never remember the name of it. We are up on Tumblr. We are up on Blogger. We are up, of course, on our website and all these other pages. So, ladies and gentlemen, you all are getting exposure. You're getting exposed to our authors, our books, and things Mary and I talk about on a regular basis. Now, when Mary first came to play with Midnight Publishing, little did she realize that she was going to bring herself into co-hosting and doing imprints. So let's talk about the imprints.
I am so excited. We have three brand new imprints to introduce to everybody. And I don't know, they just I'm so pleased when people get involved and they vote. We put a poll up and we ask you to take a choice, make your choice, make your voice known. And we don't get a lot of participation sometimes. Other times it's like, whoa, they can't stop voting. And I would love to encourage people when you see a poll on our page or anybody's page, especially an independent entrepreneur, share it. Ask your friends to participate. It makes a difference. In fact, got a cute little email. I'm going to take a segue here for a quick minute. Got a cute little, oh, I saw you on Facebook email, and I just want to connect with you, author to author. And I thought, no, you want to connect me, salesperson to sucker. So I replied, because she wanted to know all about me and what are my links. Well, my links are on my page. If you've been to my page, you've seen my links. If you haven't seen them, you haven't been to my page very long. So I just told her that she could find out anything she wanted to know about me by just Googling my name. I'm all over Google, all over the internet. And it has all my links. I said, or you can go to my publisher's Facebook page, Midnight Publishing, and you can find me there. You can see everything that I do, and you can learn my journey that way. I said, to be honest, I don't have time to entertain telling you all the things that you're asking me, only for you to give me a sales talk at the end. So we'll see how genuine she is. But back to the imprints. I am so very excited. I wrote them down because I didn't want to make a mistake. One of the first ones that is very close to my heart is our spiritual imprint. It's called Morning Star. And we're called Midnight Publishing. So we're trying to keep all of our imprints close to midnight in theme, but not all. Everything's not midnights, this, that, or the other. Anyway, the Morning Star for spiritual, the imprint that was chosen, and I will post all of these together on one post. You see all the three newest ones, is the one, it was overwhelmingly 100% chosen by those who voted. It's a book, Wings, and a Cross, because they're spiritual books. The wings can represent angels or doves or any other kind of bird. Eagles are a spiritual animal as well. But then you've also got the cross, which represents Christianity, which is not the only means to spirituality, but it is a very popular one. And then this one is extremely precious to me. And I know it was misunderstood by a couple of people. They thought it was book covers, but the domestic violence / addiction / abuse imprint, because those are three things that are usually very close together. Most of the people that engage in domestic violence are addicted to something, and most of the people who use any form of abuse, whether it's gaslighting or emotional abuse or psychological abuse or physical abuse, or what's the other one, financial abuse, doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to leave a bruise you can see to leave a scar. And Yvonne and I can testify to that. We've both been victims of domestic abuse. God knows my oldest son doesn't understand the ramifications because he wasn't there when it started badly. My younger son goes, oh yes, Dad was abusive. But we call that one toxic truth because it deals with toxic personalities. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a codependent or an enabler to the abuser, that's a toxic trait. And until you break the cycle, you don't even realize that it's never your fault. It's not the victim's fault. But if the victim doesn't stand up and say, I've had enough, you can't do this to me anymore, I won't allow this, then it continues. And so we call the toxic truth because you have that toxic trait, and the stories are the truth about the situation. And the overwhelmingly chosen image, which I really was happy to see. I mean, I make all these images and I love them all because they came from my mind. But this one really hit home for me. It was the wolf on the red background. Because that, to me, signifies the passion involved in the abuse, as well as the passion involved in breaking free. And the wolf can be multi-symbolic. You can have the wolf that's devouring you, or you can have the wolf inside you that stands up and protects you. So it's that I've already got chills thinking about that one. And then the newest one, I'm just going to tell you, this was one chosen by your publisher. It was not put up for votes because we just liked it so much. I made 6 images, but when we looked at them before I made the poll, Yvonne and I just settled in on one. And the imprint is called Dreamcatcher. And it is for our memoir, our true stories, not true crime, but regular, like true stories, and for our biographies or autobiographies. And I know we're getting ready to release one very soon. I forget Bonnie's last name.
Clark.
Bonnie Clark has written a book called Errol's Journey, and it's so powerful. But the Dreamcatcher image that we've chosen is a blue starry background with a white font and image. Everything is just blue and white. But it's a picture of a book, just, an open book like this. And above the book is this beautiful, delicate dream catcher. And if you know what a dream catcher is, it's a Native American symbol. Usually it's made out of a hoop. In the traditional way, it's made out of a hoop that they've created from a tree or a vine. And then they've woven, like macrame, delicate designs inside it. And then hanging down from that are typically feathers, sometimes beads. But the purpose is to catch your dreams. And because Midnight Publishing is a dream maker, I thought it was very appropriate to use that.
So you see, ladies and gentlemen, Mary just thought she was just gonna write.
Yeah, I really did. I thought that if I joined Midnight Publishing, Yvonne would take care of the sweat work for me. You know, people don't realize there's a lot of work that goes to formatting a book. And then not only does Yvonne and Midnight Publishing publish your book, we get it in paperback, softbound. We get it in hardbound if it's at least 78 pages,
79.
79 pages. And then we get it in digital format for Kindle readers and Audible. You can listen to the story while you're driving. And I know one of our other new authors, Dale Veely, he's a very talented painter. Painting buildings, he does a lot of handyman work. Pretty much, if it involves a tool or a paintbrush or a roller, Dale's doing it. He's a very physical man. And he told me that he listens to Audibles all the time. Every day while he's driving to work, every day while he's working on a job, he's got his earbuds in and he's listening to the books that he wants to listen to. So you can now do that with all the books from Midnight Publishing. But yeah, I thought I'll just give Yvonne my stuff and I will just sit at home and I'll write and I'll get more books out and more books. I did get my first 2 books. No, you have 3 of my books.
3.
I have 3 more books that aren't yet with Midnight Publishing that I need to get over to Midnight Publishing. But I've been busy making imprints. But I love it. It's another way to express my creativity.
And it's not that I'm making her or forcing her or giving her a deadline. Because sometimes we as writers, we have to take a break from writing and let our mind rest, because Mary's like me. The characters in her head just go nonstop 24/7.
Sometimes our muse needs a vacation.
It does. And if we don't give it one, it takes one for longer than we want it to. So, and another thing that people will find out as they come on board, I never give my authors deadlines.
No. Because, and that's something that a lot of publishers and editors and agents do. They'll say, I need your book by October 1st. And if I can't have your manuscript by October 1st, then you'll have to get to the bottom of the queue. You have to wait. And that kind of pressure on a creative person is ridiculous. And you made a comment before we actually started the show, that I had changed my hair again. Anybody who knows me knows that for the last 10 years or so, I have had some wild hair colors and crazy hairstyles. And it wasn't on a whim, but it was kind of whimsical for me to make a decision to go back to being a blonde. Oddly enough, I was born with black hair. My mother said it stood straight up on my head. And then all the black hair fell out and I came in with this little strawberry blonde color. And I decided to stop by a salon and got my hair did. But there's a process. Just with anything that is worth doing, it takes time. I was there. I'd forgotten. I mean, the last time I had a makeover like this was 25 years ago. And it was, I'm 70. And I just felt like 70's time for a change. Since I've been in my 60s, I've had pink hair, blue hair, green hair. I've had, once for Halloween, I had this hair that was kind of like sea mossy color. But during that time, my hair was very short and very spiky. And it was very easy to maintain. But as my hair has grown out, it's a little harder. It takes a little longer to put the dye on. And, arthritis hurts and all this kind of craziness. So I decided to go back to the basics, and I wanted to go blonde. And that's what I did. But let me tell you, the magician, artist, he was really an artist that I worked with or worked with me. He sat there and he's doing everything with foil because he wanted to make sure every hair was clean of the original colors. It took me 6 hours. I was in his chair for 6 hours. There was one point I had to get up and go to the dryer, and I was like, "Oh, this is what it feels like to stand up." But he was talking. You know, most hairstylists like to talk to their clients. They like to get a feel for who they are and what they like to do and so forth. And there was one point that he was just very, very quiet. And I just stopped talking. I mean, I basically let him lead the conversation because I knew he was working. And we got really quiet. And he was probably quiet for 20 minutes or more. And he said, "I don't mean to ignore you. I'm so sorry. If you need to talk, continue." I was enjoying the conversation, but I'm in the zone right now. And I could tell because at first he started out painting the bleach on my hair very quietly and timidly almost. And then all of a sudden he's like doing this. And he had a rhythm flow. And I said, "No, I'm enjoying watching you in the mirror." And it gave me a chance to really zone out and escape from everything that's been bothering me. And anybody who is a creative person, whether you paint houses, paint hair, paint acrylics or oils, or paint with words, whether you do digital creativity, it doesn't matter. You can be stringing beads together on a necklace or a bracelet. The creative juices have to flow when they're flowing. And you do this for a while, and then you go, "Okay, I need a break from this. I'm going to take a week off, going to take a day off, or I'm just going to change courses. I'm going to do something different." For me, if I want to give my creative outlet a break, I do housework. And some people say that housework can be creative too. For me, it's mundane, it's menial, but that's sometimes where the best ideas come from.
Yeah, because you're not thinking. You're just letting muscle memory do what you do.
Yes.
And when that happens, then you have to stop and go make notes real quick and then go back to doing housework, because if you don't, then you lose it.
And if you don't have a notepad handy or don't want to stop and actually write, maybe you're wearing rubber gloves because you're cleaning up toxic waste or whatever. Almost everybody has their phone with them at all times these days. If you don't know this, most phones come automatically with some kind of notepad on them. Or use your email. And you can hit the voice recorder and it will transcribe into words what you say. It may not be perfect, but it'll be enough to jog your memory when you come back to it. I've been doing that a lot because I'm a big believer in journaling. And I have, in the last 6 weeks, I've filled up one journal because I write in it every single day. Now, some of my journal entries are not for public consumption.
And
Some
that's
of them,
okay.
but that's the beauty of a journal is you can write everything that's in your mind and nobody has to see it. It helps you get those thoughts out. It helps you get that anxiety calm, or it helps you resolve any anger issues you might have.
And
Writing,
in some instances, it sets the storyline for a whole new story you didn't even know was out there.
exactly. I have, like I said, I filled up one journal in 6 weeks. I'm about a third of the way through on my second journal on the same topic. And these came about because of a repressed memory that decided not to be repressed anymore. It was not a pretty memory. It will when the time comes, it will be in our toxic truth category. Um, do I know how long it will take? I know, because I'm still working through it. And when I finish, I mean, most of what I've written, like I said, is not, it's not safe for work. It's not safe for me. It's not safe for anybody. But it frees me up to get past all that. And then when I have time and the emotions are less raw, I will be able to take this and distill it down and come up with the actual story.
And that is a catharsis within itself. And I'm going to segue that into Bonnie's book.
Yay.
Bonnie's husband was diagnosed with cancer, and in formatting this book, when they went to Moffitt, one of the doctors, hang on a minute, one of the doctors wanted to immediately put him into hospice.
Oh.
And Bonnie said, no. So this is the journey that she and her husband, Errol, took together. And my Jack's been dead for almost 8 years. And as I'm putting this book together, it brought it back like it was yesterday, because their faith, her caregiving, her husband's anxiety as he was so sick and would worry about her being out of sight because he trusted her explicitly.
Yeah.
The
She was almost like in his safety zone.
She was. The outpouring of prayer, the outpouring of friendship. And the reason that Bonnie tells this story is a catharsis for her, just like Mary's talking about her bad repressed memory. So Bonnie's goal is, as people read this story, it will help them to know they are not alone.
And that is so important. And that's also one of the biggest values to writing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be a true story.
Nope.
Steep Steps, which I'll get around to eventually. It's like I've got these imprints in my head, and they're fun, and they're the beauty of the imprints is I can get them done quickly
And move on to the next one.
and move on to the next one, and we still have a few more to go. But Steep Steps is based on, well, it was inspired by one incident.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the characters' attributes are like an amalgamation or a mixture of all the bad dates I've ever had in my life.
We used to call them the dates from hell.
Yes, yes. And everything else came from up here. It's just imagination. It's my playing pretend. What if?
There you go.
But I know, based on my early readers, that people resonate with it and they go, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was a thing. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't know that's what you called this. I've been living with it. So, and even my little angel books and Faith and Folly, they hit Sally's heart. It's about organ donations. And it was inspired because my cousin had celebrated her 20th anniversary as a heart recipient. But the story is not a true story. I don't know a girl named Sally who rescued dogs and climbed mountains and worked in the soup kitchen and then got hit by a distracted driver and died. Then her parents donated her heart and somebody else lived. But Yvonne told me that could have been her granddaughter's story. She had a daughter. Ramonda was 11 or 13 when
13. She was 13.
13. And her parents made the selfless decision to donate this child's organs. I'm getting chills again thinking about the family. They donated her organs so that others can live. I mean, a single organ donation one person's body can save 8 lives and can impact 75 other people through cornea donations, skin donations, all
Russell,
kinds of
bone.
things. So if you're not an organ donor, consider it. It's certainly not going to hurt you because it happens after you're dead. You're long gone from your body. But if you become an organ donor as an adult, you can put this on your driver's license and they know immediately because time is of the essence. If
Yes.
someone dies, I mean, it has to be an absolutely perfect storm for everything to fall into place. The donor has to be dead. The donations have to be made, and the recipient has to be ready and physically able to receive these donations. Bear in mind, if you're getting a heart transplant, your life is already hanging by a thread. And you can't be sick. You can't have a cold. You can't have a sniffle. You can't have a fever. There's so many things, and you have to be ready to receive it when it's ready to be given.
I know when the decision was made to donate Ramonda's organs, there were heart, there were several surgical teams in the operating room removing
Yes.
her organs. Then there were several more surgical teams at the recipients, and they were all in different parts of the country,
Yeah.
ready to put the organs into the recipient's body. There was a 24-hour window from the time that the neurologist came in and said, we are going to do this at such and such a time. There was a 24-hour window because Children's Healthcare of Atlanta had to call all of the other surgical teams. They in turn had to call the recipients. All the recipients had to get to the hospital, had to get prepped and be on standby. And it's like a very tight ballet.
I was just going to say a dance.
It
It's
is a
very well choreographed, and it is a work of medical art
it
to
is.
see all this happen. And ladies and gentlemen, you may not know this, but there are other entities besides the doctors in the donor hospital and the recipient hospital. There are angel flights
Hmm.
ready and willing at any moment, whether it's 11:30 in the morning or 11:30 at night or 4 o'clock in the morning. These are private individuals, private pilots with their own airplanes or access to a shared airplane. Like there's one in Merritt Island, and I think they just call it Angel Flight. I could be mistaken. But these are people, just individuals. Usually they're retired military veterans, but not always. But they have a pilot's license, they have access to an airplane,
Medical personnel.
medical personnel, absolutely. And they either fly people across the country for medical treatment or they fly organs for transplant. And sometimes it's a matter of carrying it in a car across town, but usually it's across state or across state lines.
And
I would
also,
highly recommend anybody look up. I mean, that would be a great book to write.
oh, it would be.
Make a great novel. The intrigue of all the moving parts involved. I mean, you could have a little romance in there. You could have a little murder mystery. You could have all kinds of things
Thrillers.
around organ donation.
There you go.
See, that's how my muse works. It pops up these ideas when I'm doing something completely different, and I'm like, oh, I gotta write another
That
book.
would work. So
I
you
mean, I
see,
was told Saturday, Curtis and I went to an event, and we met a psychic. And as soon as she saw me, she started. I gave her permission to do a reading, because a good ethical psychic won't just come up to you and say, "By the way, I see dead people and they're all around you." No, she talked to me a little bit and she said, "You have a very important job to do." I'm like,
Okay.
what now? That's all I can think. I mean, I retired from running a charity so I could devote more time to my writing. And then I got sucked into the Yvonne vortex. But
Sorry, not sorry.
she said, your purpose in life is to write inspirational books for children. And I looked over at Curtis, my husband, and I said, "Do you know which book I want you to get for her?" He said, "No, but I got a good idea. I'll be right back." And he came back with 2 of my books. One is Go With Angels, which I've got to yet send over to you. And the other is my angel book for children. And as soon as she put her hands on it, she said, this is what you must do. You must write more books like this. You must write books about kindness. I said, "Oh, go get her Sally's Heart." And so we started talking about my books, but there were voices telling her to tell me, "Don't stop." And I will tell everybody listening here, you might not believe in psychics, you might not believe in witchcraft and magic and the woo woo, but believe in Yvonne, because that's exactly what Yvonne does. She is a voice that tells writers, don't stop, don't give up, don't be discouraged. Keep doing what you're doing. And if you don't know what to do or how to do it, but you know, I have a story, I have to get it out. And I recently talked to a woman that has written children's books for years, but didn't know what to do with them. And I'm trying to get her to come over, but she doesn't think her stuff is meaningful enough. A children's book is always meaningful, even if it is a picture on one page and a number on the next page,
So this
or
is what
an
you
alphabet.
This is what you ask her. If you don't think they're meaningful enough, why did you waste your time writing them?
We've had that conversation.
I'm just blunt. I can't help it. And the reason, ladies and gentlemen, I am so blunt is because growing up, I wrote all the time, and I was told I was not good enough, and I stupidly believed it.
Because the people who told you this were authority figures in your life.
They were. They were adults and should have known
And they
better.
had to know what they were talking about. My God, it's my mom, it's my teacher, it's my whatever. I mean, I went through that. I had a music teacher tell me one time, I was 12. She told me that I sounded like a bullfrog with laryngitis, that I couldn't be in the school chorus. And I didn't want to ever sing out loud again. And well, part of my problem was I hadn't learned how to sing. I just shouted the words in tune with everybody.
Right.
But I've learned since then. But I once had a pastor tell me that I should probably join the church choir, because I think we had 4 people in it and they wanted to make it bigger. "Why don't you join the church choir? You're looking for something else to do in the church?" I'm like, "Sure." I went to the church choir and I just got up there and started singing, and the choir director, who was not really a director, just a person, who claimed the title, and this person said, "Mary, why did you decide to join the choir?" I said, "Well, because the pastor told me that I should probably explore joining the choir." And the pastor had told me that, God gave you this voice. He deserves to hear it. Well, the pastor hadn't heard my voice yet. The choir director started hearing my voice and said, "Do you know how to lip sync?" So, we hear these things as children, but we also hear them as adults.
We do indeed.
And people may not realize that whatever they're saying to us as an adult has already been told to us as a child. And it injures that little child that's still inside of us, longing for recognition.
Or just not so much longing for recognition, but children are like a piece of unmolded wet clay. Whatever the potter does with that clay is what becomes hardened in the body of that clay.
Yes.
As children, if we are told over and over and over again, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not good enough for this, you're not good enough for that, but you're doing the best you can. By the time we're 7 years old, it's part of who we are. And some of us never outgrow it. It took my brother, that's mentally and physically challenged, to teach me, who's younger than I am, that the word can't is not in the vocabulary. I went to college at 52 years old. People saying you're too old. You can't be a bounty hunter. Why? You're too old. You're too short. You're not smart enough. What? I graduated with honors. I was the oldest one in the class. I was the oldest one in my criminal justice classes. I graduated with almost a 5.0 average. So, and I did bounty hunt. Oh, yes, I did. Because
I bet you were like a little rat terrier chasing after these people. Don't
Yes.
get in my way.
ladies
Don't.
and gentlemen, it's not the sky that's the limit.
No,
It's
it's your
beyond.
mind.
It's beyond. And when you put yourself in a little bitty corner and say, well, this is all that I can do, that's all you will ever do. And I know I've
Um,
told this story before. My publisher died. I had already committed 2 people to her publishing house. One was unpublished. He wanted a dream to come true, and he was afraid it wouldn't. Hence,
and that,
Midnight Lovers.
to me, that is the worst thing that a person can go through life and die with an unfulfilled dream. I feel that we should at least give it a try. I've heard writers say, well, I have, I can't spell really well. Guess what? We have spell checker and we have editors. And guess what else? If the story is good enough, nobody cares.
Exactly.
I have had to learn to let go. I think this is my year for letting go a lot of things that I thought I had to control. I wanted to control. Have you ever heard that if you're always running in to people, like, okay, here's a bad word for you. If you're always running into assholes, maybe you're the asshole. Same with if you're always working for a micromanager. Look inside. Are you a micromanager? I found out through many jobs because I always seemed to be working for people who had control issues. No matter what I did, it wasn't good enough because they had to control the outcome. Guess what Yvonne taught me? It's okay to relinquish control to someone else. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to step outside of your comfort zone and do something you've never done before. And she challenges us as writers to do that every day. I mean, she challenged me, well, all of us, all of her writers, to do a live on Facebook. She said, do at least one a week. Well, I've done one. I wanted to do another one this morning, but I let time slip away from me. Because guess what? I'm not in control of time.
That's right. Times, and there's a song by that title, as time slips away. It's an oldie but a goodie. And when you listen to the words, you understand what Mary is saying. We in our small minds, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because we are not smart enough to be God. We see time in blocks, and we seem to think that we have all the time in the world. In reality, our time is like a puff of smoke. It's here
Yeah.
and then it's gone. In 3 weeks' time, I lost a son, a friend, and a friend of my son's. In 3 weeks'
Oh,
time, back to back to back.
that
So
is horrible.
that is my journey. Every couple of
Yeah.
years, I'm losing people. But when you put that in perspective, people, and you say, well, someday, one day, I want to, I should, I could, maybe, what's another word they use?
Shoulda,
I'm,
woulda, coulda. They
I'm,
don't live here.
I'm thinking about it. I
If
need
only
to, if all else fails.
when this is done, I can do that.
What you have to understand, and this is so important because I learned it late in life. If writing is what your desire is and it burns, it's something that you go through your entire day thinking about it, write it. And Mary and I both are proponents of just writing. If it makes sense, fine. If it doesn't, just write it, because as you go back and you put that story together and you reread, it starts forming. It's like that chunk of clay. It starts forming. And no, you don't have to do the old Roman numeral, yada, 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 yada. You just write. And there is no criticism in this publishing house. There is only help, encouragement, support, and love. Am I right, Mary?
Absolutely. And occasionally a challenge.
And well, because we all have to be challenged, or we get bored within ourselves. And
I would never have published my first book. Not, let's see. Yeah, this October will be 3 years ago if I hadn't been challenged by another friend.
see,
And now I'm on book 6 with 7, 8, and 9 ready to send over to Yvonne. It's just a matter of making sure they are in the format she requires.
which
And
is
this is another thing I hope we've got a minute to talk about.
absolutely.
It is so vital that whether you're working with Midnight Publishing or anybody else, especially anybody else, because Yvonne will gently guide you to where you need to go. Others will go, well, this person can't follow my guidelines, they're done. And they may not even tell you. They may just put you at the bottom of the list and get around to you one day. But if your publisher says, I want you to format this on a 6x9 Word doc, and you don't know how, ask her. Or Google it. You can look up virtually anything on the internet in the 21st century. There are very few things that are hidden from us. There are tutorials and videos and documents and how-to guides for practically anything. So when Yvonne says, I want it on a 6x9 format, if you're willing to do it that way, I mean, if you want it, my children's books are almost always 8x8 square, but that's a whole nother beast, children's books. But your regular mainstream books for young adults, what they call new adults, which are a little bit older than your 18-year-olds, and your regular novels and storybooks for adults, do them on a 6x9 because that's the format that Yvonne can work with. That's the chosen format of this publishing house. When she says, do not send me your document double spaced, by God, don't do it. Send it to her single space. Don't forget to indent. Follow the guidelines. That's all they are. They're little rules to make Yvonne's life simpler. Because if the publisher's life is simpler, your life as a writer will be simpler.
And it
She'll
becomes
tell
muscle
you-
memory.
Right. And it just makes more sense to do it in that format. Now, I have another book that I'm going to be sending to Yvonne later called A Journey with Angels. It's a journal and a guide to talking with angels. I have a specific format that I want that in because I think it just fits better with my brand. So I'll format it the way I want it and I'll explain it to Yvonne and she'll be okay, no problem. But you have to communicate. And this is true in every single relationship. And I don't mean go and talk at people. I mean communicate intellect to intellect, heart to heart. And that means you have to listen, you have to compromise, you have to speak in clear sentences and in clear ideas. You can't just throw out a couple of words and hope that they catch them. So Yvonne, and her rules are not many. 6x9 format, single spaced, indent. Now, how many spaces do you want them indented? Or
2.
what? 2 spaces. And that's just enough to give a visual break to the reader's eyes. And if you have something special you want in your book, you need to provide that. Like Sherry Ann Richardson, she had a lot of requirements that I want my book to feel that, it's a coffee table book. Oh, by the way, somebody suggested that I create an inspirational book and use my paintings as part of the visual. And I'm like, that's going to be expensive to buy. She said, but it won't be expensive on digital. And people can buy the paperback. They don't have to buy the hardback. But it's something that's needed.
If it's in color, it will still have a cost of that.
Yeah.
And if it's a coffee table book is 8.5 by 11 as a general rule, which is the size of a sheet of. This is an 8.5 by 11.
It's a printer page.
Printer page. And we can do that. That is not an issue. But people have to be willing to pay the cost. And Sherry's hardcover is over $50.
And you have to be willing.
$30.
You have to be willing to promote this a little more aggressively. You have to be willing to negotiate the price. If you're selling it at an event, like I know Sherry Ann does, and I do a lot, one of the things that I love about my book, I have a woman, she has a all-natural apothecary, and she goes to trade shows. She's a friend of mine. And I met up with her. That was the reason Curtis and I met the psychic the other day. But she, Kathy, has been selling my books from day one. And she said, I need you to bring me some more books, especially that new one, Faith and Folly. I'm like, okay, I'll be there Saturday. So I carried a tote bag full of books for her. And she was asking me, what do I do with the prices? You've got them priced all over the board. I said, you tell everybody, every one of my books is available for $15. She said, well, I just sold one for $20 this morning because that was the price on the back. I said, great, I made an extra $5. And she doesn't ask me. She's like you, Yvonne. She never asked me for a penny in commission. But I told her, I said, just put a price, all books available for $15. I said, if you want to do them individually, that's great. But even the $15 gives you room. If somebody buys 2, you can give them one for $10. or 2 for 10. I don't care. I said, I want the message out. I want a little money back, but it's not about making a boatload of money, because that's not why I write. And we were talking about time a minute ago. Y'all, this is why we're unscripted. We go around and around the
and
barn.
and then we come back.
Then we
And,
come
and
back
Mary
because
just
we were
brought,
talking about time a few
yes,
minutes ago. And I remember, oh, this was, I want to say it was before I finished writing Steep Steps, and way before Faith and Folly. But I had an idea for another project. I don't remember. I think this was an art project, but anyway, I had an idea, and I was up to here, not quite over my head, but I was up to here with other stories. I mean, I have books waiting for me to finish illustrating so that I can get them to Yvonne so she can print. And Yvonne has another children's author who wants me to illustrate her books. So I got a lot going on. And then this idea popped into my head, and I did like this. I said, look, God, come on, man. You want me to do another project? You're going to have to help me get stronger. At the time, this was a couple years back, and I was not healthy as I am now. I said, you have got to help make me stronger and healthy. Oh, and by the way, can you make me live to be about 137 so I have time to get everything done? Yvonne, like that, I heard the voice that I know so well. Said, Mary, you have all the time you need. You cannot waste it. And that's, I will tell you something though about wasting time, and I want everybody, especially our older authors. I mean, if you're 25, you can probably ignore this for another 10, 15 years. If your body says take a break, take a nap, take a vitamin supplement, have a cup of coffee, listen to your voice. Because if you push through and push through and push through, one of these days all you're going to be doing is pushing up daisies, because you're going to push yourself into an earlier grave than you need to. I take breaks, I take naps, I take walks. Pretty much I take anything they're giving out for free. But I think it's so important to find the way to balance in your life.
And you have to have that balance.
Whether that means going to church, going to a dance, going to a concert,
going bowling,
sitting down and praying or meditating, it doesn't matter. Everybody is different. But remember to breathe, and remember, whatever you're doing, you can't take it with you when you go. Yep. So that includes your stories. If you have a story inside and you die with that story is gone forever.
Gone forever. There is a story that my mother, and I kept asking her to write it, that my mother had dancing around in her head for years and years and years. And this, again, my mother never thought she was good enough. And she wanted to take all of the grandchildren and put them in Fantasy Forest as little animals using their names. And at some point, when we both catch our breath, I want you to help me if you have time and can. It's called Fantasy Forest, and you have Brandy the bear, Sammy the squirrel, Jeremiah the bullfrog, Megan the giraffe, Seth the...
Send me all their names. That will be so much fun to create illustrations for.
I got to go back and find it. And I kept saying, Mother, why don't you write it? And she said, I'm not good enough.
Oh.
So because she had, and ladies and gentlemen, this is generational.
It is.
Because she never felt good enough. It spilled over into my life when I had teachers telling her to tell me that I was not good enough.
I was on the opposite end of that spectrum. My mother was Aquarius. and I'm Aquarius, and we tend to believe that we're bigger than the world, and we can, we're the water holders, the water carriers.
Right?
So we've got this big jug of emotions, and we just, oh, bring it on, we can do it.
We can do it.
And I've never backed down from a dare or a challenge. Now, the dares, now that I'm a little older, I take them a little with a grain of salt. I still accept all challenges. I was telling Curtis last night, I'll still try anything once. If I like it, get out the way because I'm going to be obsessed with it. But
Speaking of
you know,
challenges, is
yes.
Linda Humphrey going to give us another book?
She's working on one, but right now she has a daughter with really in a bad situation.
Yep.
Sherry Stowe is her name, and if you folks are praying kind of people, please pray for Sherry.
Yeah,
She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, just boom, out of the blue. She had no idea. And then also she had her leg quit working, basically. She had a hard time walking. Found out that she had broken her hip and didn't even know it. So they had to do surgery on her hip before they could get her up walking again. And then once she had that crisis out of the way, they started working on her breast cancer. I'm not sure if she's had surgery for that yet, but I remember hearing something about chemotherapy and radiation. So, and Sherry is Linda's youngest of 3 daughters. And interesting, I mean, Linda is working on a story called Ani's Attic, because her nickname is Ani. That's what her grandchildren call her. She has been wanting to do this book for years called Ani's Attic, which is just basically a memoir. It's
Right.
stories of how she looked in the kitchen cabinet one day and there was a bag of beans. And there was nothing else in the kitchen. And what did they do? How did they survive? So, stories of poverty, growing up in the country. She started her life in Tennessee, moved to Florida, moved back to Tennessee with her husband, and then moved to Florida for 1 year. And at the times she's moved by herself, she was in her mid-70s after her husband had died in Tennessee, and she thought, oh, there's nothing here for me. There's nothing left for me here. My husband's gone. I'm going to go back to Florida where my friends all are. And she's basically the last of her family. She's got children and grandchildren. But her daughter Sherry had moved to Tennessee at some point. And then Linda started getting very uncomfortable in her home. And she told me one day, she said, Mary, I'm moving back to Tennessee. I'm going to move in with Sherry and Benny. I'm like, well, great. She said, I don't understand why God's closing these doors and opening other doors. I understand how it works, but why did I have to move to Florida for a year and then go back to Tennessee? And within a couple of months, she found out that her daughter had stage 4 cancer. And she said, now I know why I'm here. I'm here to help my daughter. So that will probably be one of her stories in Ani's Attic.
Nice.
But yes, she is working on it. I have helped her come up with a design for the image for the cover, which we can definitely discuss when the time is ready.
See, ladies and
You might come
gentlemen,
up with something better.
in fact, I'm just seeing one in my head now. I'm going, would you stop? I mean, there it is. I see it. And I bet you it's the same design. Mary and I do this. We have this, I think between the two of us, we share 2 brains that become one huge brain that sometimes is frightening. Very frightening.
Wasn't there a story called Pinky and the Brain?
Yes.
Today I can be Pinky and you can be the brain.
The brain, and then we're going to take over the world. Well, it looks like we are trying to take over the publishing world, which is fine. Which, ladies and gentlemen, I can't reiterate enough. Midnight Publishing was not, I repeat, was not on my list of things to do. On my list of things to do was just to write.
Oh, who does
However,
that sound like?
yeah, however, God had a different purpose because I have been in this business for 20 years. I have seen the shysters. I have put up with the, oh, we can make you famous for $3,000 a month. I've seen all that. I've gotten the emails. I've gotten the stupidity. I understand it. And I understand the heart of people that understand we're not going to make millions and millions of dollars. We don't care. All we want to do is write. And I understand that. And I understand the frustration of people that say, I really want to see my book in print. I don't know how. This is your how, people. And you say, well, Yvonne, how much do you charge? Mary, how much do I charge for this?
Oh, y'all get out your checkbooks and just throw them away because Yvonne charges 0.
Nothing. You know
She
why?
does this out of the kindness and the goodness of her heart and because God has already blessed her. So she's passing on the blessing. And that's why I do it. Let me tell you, one of the reasons that I hesitated to jump on with Midnight Publishing in the first place is I'm a publisher too. I founded an organization with 2 other women called Be Unique. It's a charity. I worked it and managed it, not completely by myself, but predominantly by myself. I had a lot of volunteers that came on for usually one purpose. Yvonne came on early and was one of our writers. She was also one of our board members for a while. And because we try to have a healthy organization, you cycle these board members out and you keep a fresh flow of board members. And so the last set of board members that was installed in early 2025 came on board, and right away they had different ideas than I had. And this need to control came over me, and I'm like, no, you can't do that. It's my baby. You can't change my baby's diaper that way. I don't care. I'm laid up in bed and I can't move. I've got broken bones everywhere. You change my baby's diaper the way I want it changed. Well, we didn't butt heads, but it was counterproductive, and I was exhausted. I'm writing. Had already started self-publishing through Be Unique, and I was getting my books out and going to events while I'm managing this organization and having events for it, and getting more and more and more tired. And meanwhile, God is going zip, 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 more ideas, more ideas. Here's some more. You've got more books. Do this, do this. And I'm writing a list of all these books that I hear in my head that I need to write. So what do I do? What do I do? And Yvonne comes up with Midnight Publishing. I'm like, well, that's tempting, but no, I got enough to do. I don't need to throw my wagon on the back of her train. So I hesitated, but the whole time I'm feeling pulled toward Midnight Publishing. Didn't know it. I really didn't know what was happening. I felt the pull, but I kind of, I was like Ulysses on the boat with the sirens. I plug up my ears. But also, like Ulysses, I said, well, don't plug up my ears and strap me to the main mast. I want to hear the song. But I can't do anything about it because I'm tied down. So I made the decision after about 3 or 4 months of the new board being on board. And I'm thinking they're going in a direction. It's not the direction I want to go, but they're taking it. They're pushing forward. And so I said, I'm going to resign. I'm going to retire. So I left it in their hands. What happens from this day forward or that day forward, I have no control over. And that was such a liberating feeling because I started writing more. And I'm writing and getting my books, and I'm marketing, and that's a big deal. And Yvonne is the queen of marketing, folks. If you don't know how, you don't need to know how. She can help you. And she can do it for you too. At $0.
Yes. Yep.
But one day Yvonne and I said, let's go to lunch. And we used to do, Yvonne and I have been friends for more than 20 years. And every couple of years we said, let's do lunch, let's catch up, what's going on? Well, I surprised her because I had 3 books on a flash drive. 2 of them were mine, and one was Linda Humphrey's, Cornfield Flyers of East Tennessee. And so after we talked, I sat there for a little bit and I talked to her and I found out how she operates. And I handed her the flash drive. I said, here's 3 books, knock yourself out. I figured, what could it hurt? Let me see how she does. And if I like what she does, then great. If I don't like what she does, I've lost nothing but my 2, I haven't lost my books because I had them elsewhere. And I couldn't get Linda's book on Amazon to save my soul. I agonized over that for a year. I prayed over it. I meditated over it. I screamed. I shouted. I cursed. I cried. And I couldn't get it to take. It looked fine and it would say, here's your preview. And then the next morning there'd be an email. Sorry, we can't publish your book as is. Well, Yvonne found a workaround. She figured out what the problem was. She fixed the problem. And Linda has already sold, I know, at least 2 books through Midnight Publishing. I don't know how many others she might have sold, but I know of at least 2 books. And that's only been in the last couple of months. So if you're on the fence about joining Midnight Publishing, hop down, choose a side. And I highly recommend Midnight Publishing because if you have an ounce of talent, she's going to take it and promote it. And if you have half an ounce of talent, she's going to help you build it up.
And if you think you have no talent, au contraire.
Everybody has talent.
And just, I'm going to add a caveat to your story. When Mary called and told me that she was turning over Be Unique to the new board, which again, when we let God be God, God sees things down the road that we don't.
Yes.
So we're talking and she's talking about she's going to get agents, she's going to do this, she's sending out query letters, and I never responded. I never condemned her. I never offered advice. I just listened. And she said, and Curtis, her husband, asked her why she was wasting her time, that she could be doing other things.
And he didn't mean housework.
No, he meant her
writing more books.
Right, her creative side. So 2 nights later, this one calls me and says, well, I'm giving you these books. Okay, we'll make it happen. So that's why we met. She gave me the books, and the rest is history. Because this woman is so talented, and she reaches out to others within her circle. Midnight Publishing started out as this circle. It had 2 people from church. Then it had 3 people from church. And then it had Jason Gerhardt. Then it had Andrea Dean Van Squig. Now, both of those people I've known almost as long as I've known Andrea. Then it had Andrea. So this circle now becomes this circle because those people know people. And the circle gets wider and wider and wider. And as it gets wider, the people that started this circle are supporting these people plus each other. That's how we are successful. Not because we have huge billboards and we pay thousands of dollars for advertisement. I don't believe in it. I believe in word of mouth, social media.
When I was in the salon chair yesterday, the guy asked me, do you know any other writers? I'm like, hundreds. Hundreds.
What you want to see? Amazon, here they are.
And that's something else too that I want to encourage all of our writers at Midnight Publishing and other writers who may be listening and people who just support us and aren't even writers, maybe they're readers. Check out the website. See who the authors are. And I need to send you a new
Okay.
shot. But you know, I want you to check us all out and follow us on our Amazon pages and follow us on our social media. That's how you can spend not a penny and support someone. I definitely want to encourage all of the Midnight Publisher authors to support each other.
That
And
is
it doesn't have to be run out and buy everybody's book at the same time. Buy a book now, buy a book next week, borrow a book. It doesn't matter. But go back and leave a review.
And the thing is, even if you don't read that particular genre, I guarantee you know somebody that does. You know somebody that has children. You know somebody that loves history, loves cooking, loves baking, loves gardening. Sherry's book has all of those in one book. Mary's Faith and Folly, you might not be someone who is necessarily spiritual, but you have a faith. You've probably made some bad decisions in your life and wondered how you got through those bad decisions without waking up on the other side of the dirt. Faith and Folly talks about that. You may not be in the goth community, but I guarantee you, you have young family members or your children or grandchildren have friends who are. Andrea Deans Van Scoy's Welcome to Crowhaven Chapel is so inspiring with spiritual input. You may not read true crime in its rawness, but I guarantee you, you know somebody in law enforcement that would understand it. You may not have lost someone whose organs were donated, but you know somebody that was who has children who may not understand how that works. Maybe you don't understand how you were on the road and something told you to take a different route and come to find out there was a huge wreck with fatalities. Ooh, you just missed.
Thank you for another story idea.
Mary's books go with angels. Just saying. You may not believe in the paranormal or you may not read paranormal books, but I guarantee you know somebody that does. Jason's book, The Ferryman, law enforcement would love it. Paranormal people will love it. This is just a few of the books we have out there. You may not really like to read history, but I guarantee you, you will enjoy two of my historical fictions, A Voice from the Grave and A Mad Hatter. You may not know anyone who's a drag queen, or maybe you do, or maybe you know somebody that's in that community. I'm going to tell you what, if you ever read The Pink Canary, you will fall down laughing because you get to meet my drag queens. You get to meet two real people. And I say all this to say all that. Even if you, and I preach this every day, even if you don't read a certain genre, our house is so diversified. The only thing we will not publish is erotica because it makes me want to throw up. And I'm not about to ruin my computer throwing up on my
Erotica, there are enough people publishing it. We don't need to.
We don't need it. I will do
Um,
romance. It's hard, but I will do it because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in happily ever after. Life is not happily ever after. But I will do romance because it's a good read. Mary's over there thinking hard. I don't know what she's thinking about, but oh heaven.
I'm thinking about our imprints. We have 21 imprints.
Okay, now, folks, I know you're saying, what the hell you need all these imprints for? Well, it's simple. As you all see, the logo is our brand. It's what people know us by. People know me by my black clothes because black is a color. They know I love skulls. They know that I love witches. They know all of this.
And I'm on the opposite end of the rainbow with her. And
Yes,
that's why we work together so well.
light and
We're the
dark.
yin and yang.
Exactly. So when we publish, let's say spiritual inspiration, the imprint we use, when people see that imprint, and it says an imprint of Midnight Publishing, but it's its own genre. Those were the imprints she was talking about today that we have added to our publishing house. If I put up the imprint for Toxic Truce, people know that is a domestic violence book. They know that when they read that, they're going to learn things, hopefully. They're going to give it to somebody that's either in that situation or been in that situation, or they're going
And,
to
and
read it to not get in that
it can
situation.
also be like a little warning label, to let
Exactly.
people know this is going to contain some hard, uncomfortable truth.
So,
And if you're crying, we named it 113 or 113. You know
right,
why? You know why, I'm sure. The average IQ of a serial killer is 113. They're not dummies. They're
no,
very, very smart. And I mean, because what is the average IQ of a regular person?
102, 78.
Um, let's find out. I will use
The,
my friend Uncle Google. 100. The
there,
average IQ is 100. So um, anything over 140 is superior. But the 113 that's considered a high average, and we decided to use 113. It's just a very simple number, but the images that are associated, we'll be putting that one up shortly to vote on. I'm wondering if we should do all of them at once.
maybe a couple every week. Because you know that what we're going to have to do is pin them to the top
Yeah.
because they get lost in all the stuff that we put up there. And we don't, we want, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to vote on them. We really do.
Because we want this to be your publishing house. We
Exactly.
want you to feel an ownership in the choices that we make. We don't want to be the queen and queen of Midnight Publishing. We want to be
A
the
family.
goddesses.
That too. But you are
So,
a family. You all are a family, and
yeah.
you're family by choice. Last week we had my cousin on here, and she made a statement that struck me after we got off. She said, "I thought Yvonne was treating me special because I was her cousin." She says, "Yvonne, that does that to all of y'all because you're all family. It's very important that number one you feel comfortable giving me something that's so precious to you, which is your story, and number two." To be able to encourage you to be the best you can be. There's a saying that I quote all the time, came from Star Wars, when Luke Skywalker is talking to Yoda, and he's young and foolish, and he says, "Well, I'll try," and Yoda says, "Do or do not. There is no try." And the people go, "What?" Well, the logic is, if you say you do, you've made a commitment. If you say you do not, you've made a commitment. If you say try, that's no commitment.
That's when you ask your parents, "Can we have ice cream?"
We'll see.
And they say maybe.
That's no
Maybe
commitment.
is a non-committal answer.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll ask my husband a question. He'll give me a maybe. I'm like, "Oh, that's a no." I know. Yeah, and then children learn this. Maybe is really a no, but that's a softer no.
So we don't want you telling yourself no.
No.
We want you telling yourself yes with an exclamation point that runs through infinity. We want we want to be your dream maker because God has given you this opportunity to make your dream real. And people say, "Well, Yvonne, what's the catch?" Sweetheart, there's no catch.
There
Ask
is
any
no
of the
catch.
authors. Ask any of my authors, any of our authors, what the catch is. You get your royalties. You know, I'm not going to send you $1.25 because PayPal's going to keep that part. I let your royalties build up. In fact, Alta, who goes to church where I do, I said, Alta, you've got $20 in your account because I kept asking her, do you want it? You want me to hold on to it? So she said, order me books. I said, okay, you got $20 in your account. If you want 24 books, it's going to cost you $80. You'll still owe me 60. Perfect. Because she was going to spend that $20 anyway on new books at some point. So I can do it either way. If you want to
And I
see,
will tell you, it is so, so simple. You just tell Yvonne what you want, how many books you want. And she sends you an invoice for how much it's going to cost. And we get a discount because we're the authors. She gets the same discount as the publisher.
Mhm.
But she does all the dirty work. She does all the heavy lifting. She contacts Amazon. She says, I want 5 hard copies and I want 10 hard copies of this book. And I want them drop shipped to this other address, not my house. They come to your home. All you have to do is pay that invoice on PayPal.
and boom, it's
It
done.
is, and the reason I say how easy it is, I've been exactly where Yvonne is. I have done the formatting. I have fought to get it on Kindle and hardback, and because each one takes a different format. I never put mine on Audible because by the time I finished with the first 3, I was exhausted. And of course, I had more books I wanted to get done too, so I was like, I'll do the Audible later. I don't have to do that anymore.
So let's talk about Audible for a minute now. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, what Amazon has done, and I'm so grateful. When I first started putting my books on Audible, I had to go hire a voiceover person. That costs money. And most people that read for Audible charge anywhere from $450 to $2,000 depending on the length of the book.
Yep.
I also did outsource to a couple of my books. They also charge depending on the length of the book. So what Amazon did, and God love AI, y'all can fight about it all you want to, but it opened up a doorway for our authors that was not there before without loads of money. Once I put the book up on Kindle, I go to the Audible section and I set it up using AI voices, and it has British voices, it has Southern voices, it has Midwestern voices, it has 30 to 40 voice types, it has 50 and over, it has male and female. And when they first started this, they sent me a thing and said, would you be willing to? And I said, oh, yeah, watch this. How many can I put up? How fast can I do this? Okay. And as time has gone on, the voices, as within anything, have gotten better and better and better. So when your book goes, except for the children's books, because they have to have them in chapters, and children's books we hadn't quite figured out how to do that yet. But I go in and I set it up, and boom, it's done, and it's up and ready to go within like 12 hours. And we are selling books on Audible, which blows my mind because I've had
Because a lot of people like Dale Veely like to work or drive and listen to their books. I can remember when my youngest son was early teenager. They hit that growth spurt and everything starts breaking inside. It's kind of like menopause,
yeah.
but just on the opposite end of the spectrum. But he was about 14, 12 to 14, and he was an athlete in high school, and he was constantly breaking things. I'll never forget the day his coach called me up one day. He goes, "Miss Mary, your boy done it again." I'm like, what did he break this time? "I'm not sure. We're at the hospital right now. You need to come and find out if it's one finger or the whole hand." It was the whole hand, because they were practicing, and he was being, he was down for the tackle, or he was a block, I think. And a bigger guy was coming toward him, and instinctively he does like this, and his hand got caught between two helmets.
Ooh.
So, like I said, he was 14. He was young. But I mean, there were so many times, and where we lived was a very small rural town. So we had to drive a good hour to get to any kind of orthopedic surgeon or anybody like that. We always had a book on cassette, which is now today's version of Audible. But we would listen to usually Dean Koontz,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes other things. But we were a big family of oral stories anyway. We would read out loud not around the dinner table, but after dinner. That was our entertainment for years. Sure, we had TV. Yeah, we even had I think it was a Nintendo? No, it wasn't Nintendo. Atari. But my kids preferred to have a story brought to life. And that's what we did.
The beauty that y'all have, and all the other rest of the authors have, when they come with Midnight Publishing, is I put all this up at one time or within a day or two, and if whatever book you pull up, let's say we pull up The Pink Canary, just for grins and giggles. When you pull that up, on the right hand side, you're going to see all 4 formats: paperback, hardback, Audible, and Kindle. So you don't have to go hunt for anything. It's all there.
Yep.
The children's books, they're in paperback and they're in hardbacks and they're on Kindle. So, well, they're not on hardback because they're not big enough, but they're on Kindle and they're on paperback. So you get to see both of those formats, and you have choices. You don't have to go to Audible and pull a book down. You don't have to dig all over the place for, they're all right there. That's what we do. And we do it for y'all. Like I said, I've already been down the road with publishers. I know what they do. Oh, we'll do your paperback will cost you this month, but if we do it in all of these other forms, it's going to cost you this much more. You can't sell enough books to pay all of that.
No, you can't. And writers, be aware. The minute that your book hits Amazon, the sharks come out, they smell the blood in the water. Just either ignore them or do like I do and waste their time. I usually ignore them, but sometimes I get a little burr into my saddle and I'm like, I want to see how far this one goes before I hear the sales pitch. But what I do, I mean, depending on what they've done, they'll take your book and they'll put the title into AI, and they'll have AI write a book review for you.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, well, I can use that to my advantage. And after I use what they've given me for free, I delete them, I block them, I move on. Because there is no need for you to pay umpteen dollars for, they want you to do a movie, a cinematic. It has to be a cinematic movie trailer for your book. Now, I know that's a thing. I've made a few myself. But you can get them done a whole lot cheaper by going to people on Fiverr than you do, because these people who email you are wanting to sell you a plan, a marketing plan. And they'll outline the steps for you and tell you what they can do for you, how they can increase your readership, how they can guarantee you X number of reviews. Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Nope. Mary did a audible for, she read Sally's Heart. So I took a snippet of Mary's, a sample of Mary's audio, and I put it with some pictures for Sally's Heart. I put it in a video format. I put it on all of our social media. I have that capability. I do
Yeah.
videos all the time.
And folks, let me tell you what else Yvonne does. If I post anything on my personal Facebook, she's there like a hawk. And she goes, eek, eek, and she snags it, and she goes, I'm going to share this because it means something to me. It's not always about books.
Nope.
Sometimes it's about, I don't know, daffodils or whatever. But she shares her writer's posts on social media so that it has a bigger audience. Speaking of big audience, do y'all know how many countries, how many people are reading midnightpublishing.org? I don't. I've lost count, but it's like hundreds.
Well,
There's got to be 100 or more countries
there's
represented.
this morning I looked up at the views, and there was 1,172 views, and I lost count of the regions, countries, and cities. It's mind-boggling. Places I
I
never
can't
even
get that
heard
kind
of.
of I can't get that kind of attention on my own. I just don't have the audience. I've been on Facebook now. I'm not talking about any of my other platforms. I've been on Facebook for more than 15 years. About a year ago, y'all talk about control. This control freak lost all control because my Facebook account got hacked. It started posting inappropriate content, and then my account got deleted. And this account is connected to my email address. I did everything I could to try to regain it. Facebook said, sorry, not sorry, you can't have it back. You've lost this account. 15 years worth of posts and photos and self-promotion and promoting my charity. Poof.
Gone.
With click of a button, somebody destroyed it. What I have now, I have rebuilt in the last year. I can't get 1,100 views in a day. It's just not possible. So I'm hanging on to Yvonne's coattails and grabbing the straws in her broom because we're going for a ride, folks.
We are. We are. And we want y'all to join us. There's a girl that was up in Orlando that wrote for years and years and years, and then the hurricane came through and devastated their house, so she quit writing for a while. So I told her, I said, Julie, when you get ready to publish, come with us, because she writes romance with a twist, and I love it. So we'll see what she does. There's also
And we have an imprint for romance.
Yep,
called Apotheosis.
There you go. Indie authors. Everything that I do, because that's one of my pages where I'll encourage the indie authors to go post their stuff. Everything we do, I put over on that page and encourage them to come over to us. Andrea keeps saying, "I hope you get big enough that you have to hire a secretary." Okay, God, I hear what she's saying, but I like the fact that you're just doing this, building us slowly. We don't want to get overwhelmed.
We don't want to get overwhelmed, and we don't want to become one of those publishers.
No.
What we have is very special. It's very
intimate.
Unique.
It's
intimate.
Very
intimate, yes.
Very intimate. So with
that, it's very nourishing. It's very encouraging.
And it builds upon itself, and it encourages the authors to be all they can be, all they desire to be, all they're meant to be, because you are enough. And people go, what? Yes, you are enough. When somebody says you're not good enough, take the not
Out of it.
out of it, because you are good
One
enough.
day I was talking to someone and I said, well, blah, 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 do. But, and she looked at me, she said, we all have one. I'm like, what? She said, we all have a butt, and yours might be the biggest one in the room. However, you should not be butting your head against the wall.
Exactly.
So take out the buts. Take out the what if. Take out the if only. Take out the whenever. You know, I knew a woman. She got married. They were like Ken and Barbie. They looked ideal. They were beautiful people. He was gorgeous. She was stunning. And he was abusive. He was a student at West Point. No, the Citadel. And the whole time they were dating, he was manipulating her and controlling her and beating on her. And she said, oh, but I love him. And I know he's under a lot of stress. And whenever he gets out of this stress, he'll be nicer to me. Well, then he joined the Army because that's how he paid for his college tuition. How many times did he beat her, put her in the hospital? And then he would beat her because a doctor had seen part of her that he didn't want her to see. So it was just, oh. And it was, oh, but he's so sweet to me. I love him so. And it'll quit when he gets out of the Army. Then he got a job. It's the same story over and over and over again. The one thing that she couldn't tolerate, she caught him with another woman. He came home storming mad and said, if you hadn't followed me to the hotel, you wouldn't have seen me, so it's your fault. She packed her bags and left. That was enough. That was her straw. She moved away. He continued to, she moved probably 2 or 3 cities over, but close enough that he could follow her. And he stalked her. And at 35, she killed herself because she knew that was the only way to get away from him. She lived her life on that hope of when this happens, it'll be perfect then. Tomorrow will be a better day. There is no tomorrow. We are not guaranteed. If you want your book out there before you die,
Do it now.
start writing it today.
And we're going to leave on that note because I have to drive across town to start bowling at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
We will pick this up next week.
Next week we
10:30.
may have another topic.
Who
We may
knows?
have another guest. I don't know.
We could. Anything's possible. So, this is your 2 hosts, Mary Brotherton and Yvonne Mason with All Things Books and Publishing. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week at 10:30.
Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you later.